Thank you very much. Wow.
Tonight, less than 48 hours after Donald Trump's historic victory, one of the most important positions in his new administration now decided. Trump announcing tonight that his White House chief of staff will be Susie Wiles, his co-campaign manager, one of the most respected operatives in Republican politics, and revered by Trump and his allies, the architect of Trump's return to the White House.
The Ice Baby. We call her the Ice Baby, right?
It comes as the jockeying has already begun for other highly coveted positions in his cabinet and new administration, including by a slew of old rivals turned allies. Former primary opponents Vivek Ramaswamy, Doug Burgum, Tim Scott, and Marco Rubio, the Florida senator not ruling out a role in the second Trump administration. In an interview with the Today Show.
Who knows? I mean, we're not even 12 hours removed from the outcome in this election. So, again, I mean, those are decisions they'll start working through right now.
Trump transition officials are mulling two of the president-elect's allies for attorney general, according to multiple sources who spoke with NBC News. Matt Whitaker, who filled the role briefly after Jeff Sessions' departure in the first Trump administration.
God bless the United States of America.
And Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt, who has traveled with Trump on the campaign trail in recent weeks. The president-elect also teasing a health policy role for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., despite his reputation for vaccine skepticism.
Would you like to be nominated to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services?
Like I said, I don't know if that's the post that I want. I may be more effective in the White House as a health czar or something like that, but we don't know. We haven't decided. We're meeting today on these issues.
Trump first campaigned in 2016 on a promise to bring an all-star cast to the White House.
We're going to deliver. We're going to get the best people in the world.
But the man who rose to fame for firing people.
So I say, Tiffany, you're fired. Nadia, you're fired. Gene, you're fired.
Didn't stop when he got to Washington.
We learned that President Trump has fired FBI Director James Comey.
The president took to Twitter and announced his Attorney General, William Barr, will be stepping down.
Secretary of Defense James Mattis, the man President Trump once called one of his generals, is resigning.
The president-elect with heavy turnover in his first White House. Trump acknowledging personnel was an Achilles heel for his first administration.
The mistake would be people. I mean, I wouldn't have put a guy like Bill Barr in. He was weak and pathetic. I wouldn't have put Jeff Sessions in.
Now determined not to repeat those mistakes. Howard Lutnick, one of his transition co-chairs, telling us before the election that this time they will select officials who Trump has a history with and trust from the outset.
Donald Trump is going to have the best administration this time. He's a pro as there's never been a pro. No one's ever had the opportunity to do a second term from scratch, and we are going to bring the best talent of America.
All right, Vaughn, the new era of the Trump presidency is on, and I say that because we now have some breaking news that's just in as well. Some reporting I'm sure you've seen that the governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, has informed the Trump transition team that he intends to serve out his term as governor of Virginia and not be offered any sort of role in a Trump administration, if that was even up for him. You're joining us now from West Palm Beach, Florida. What else can we expect? Any other decisions you think that are going to be coming about senior staff?
Right, you closely reported on his first transition back in 2016, Tom, and you know that the process between the credible and likely potential picks for cabinet administration posts versus the names of some folks who are interested and float their names out. And that's where, as you said, we're just 48 hours from his election here. And that's what is kind of descending upon Mar-a-Lago here right now. You have the likes of, for Secretary of State, for instance, Marco Rubio's name in the mold, but also former acting director of national intelligence from his first administration, Rick Gannell. There's big divides over opinions on both of those men and the type of foreign policy they would carry out on behalf of the Trump administration. But then also, for example, at the attorney general level, right? You have that former acting attorney general, Matt Whitaker, and then you have the likes of the senator from Missouri. And so really for this moment in time, it's not only a vetting of these individuals' actual backgrounds, but also it is a discussion over the extent to which these individuals have historically been loyal to Donald Trump. And there's belief that they would be able to serve the administration for not just 1 or 2 years, but potentially for the full year term that Donald Trump is about to take on.
And Vaughn, before we let you go here, I know there is some new reporting about the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, and not just cutting rates today, about his sort of what's going to happen under a Trump administration.
Right. Typically, the Fed chair has independence from the president of the United States. And it was Donald Trump that actually named Jerome Powell back in 2017 the Fed chair. But in the years since, he's been highly critical of Powell, suggesting that he should have more quickly dropped interest rates. And just here today, Jerome Powell made it clear that he does not intend to resign or leave his post, even if Donald Trump were to try to push him out, making the case that it would be against the law for Donald Trump to do so. His term ends in 2026. So unless Donald Trump tries to take him on legally, it appears that Jerome Powell intends and will carry out the next 2 years of his term.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.